Before we proceed further, we need to become familiar with the parts of our tabla. To begin with, the term tabla, in the strict sense, only is applied to the small wooden drum. But in common usage, the term tabla is applied to both drums together. Therefore, we're going to bow to common usage and use the term tabla for both of the drums. When we need to talk about the drums individually, the wooden drum, the small one, we call bayan, which in Hindi means right. The larger metal drum is called bayan. Bayan means left. So we can talk about bayan, bayan, and together we'll call them tabla. Let's take a little closer look at the drums. To begin with, we have the playing head. This head is called PUDI. It is laced with rawhide lacing. This is called TASMA. TASMA. There are wooden blocks for tuning. These wooden blocks are called gatta. Gatta. The wooden shell is called LAKADI. The metal shell is called PITAL. And then finally at the bottom of both drums is a ring. This ring is called kundo. Now let us take a much closer look at the PUDI. Around the outer part is a braid. This braid is called gajra. Gajra. There is an annular membrane right along here. This is called chat. Chat. There is only one membrane which covers the entire drum, for which it's visible here. This is called maidan. Then finally, the most distinctive characteristic is this black spot. This black spot is called SYAHI. SYAHI. If you look very closely, you see that the SYAHI has a lot of cracks in it. These cracks are very important to the proper operation of the tabla. You should be very careful that these cracks do not become filled up with dirt or excess powder or anything, because if the cracks become clogged up, then the SYAHI is no longer able to vibrate freely. The tabla rests in some cushioned rings, which are called CHUTIA. The CHUTIA does two things. It allows the tabla to be positioned in a comfortable position. It also allows the tabla to vibrate freely. The hammer, which is called hattori, is very important because this is what you use to tune the instrument. It is important to use talcum powder. The talcum powder will allow your hands to move freely around the surface of the drum. It will also protect the drum against sweat and moisture. Make sure and use talcum powder because many baby powders use cornstarch. Cornstarch will ruin your drum. Now remember, India is a land where there are many different languages and dialects. The terms that I'm using in this tape are derived from Hindi or Urdu. But I must tell you that that's not going to be the same throughout the country of India. There are just too many languages, and you will find too many variations in terminology concerning the names of the instrument. Now let's quickly review the parts of tabla. The wooden drum is called dayan, while the metal one is called bayan. They rest in a pair of cushion rings called CHUTIA. The major parts are the LAKADI, PITAL, TASMA, PUDI, Kunda, and Gatta. The parts of the PUDI are the Gajra, Chat, Maidan, and SYAHI. Before the tabla can be played, it really must be in tune. And at this point, I really hope you have someone who can tune it for you, because it really helps to have someone who's experienced at it. If you do have someone who can tune it for you, by all means take their assistance and simply skip this section. But if you're in some place and you do not have anyone and you have to do it yourself, then we'll go in and cover some of the basics that you will need to know. Before we tune the tabla, let us do a little experiment. Imagine that you are holding a rope and you have a friend holding the other side. If you pull tighter, the rope gets tighter. If your friend pulls the rope, again the rope gets tighter. As far as the rope is concerned, it makes no difference who is pulling. This may sound obvious, but we too easily forget the same principle extends to the two-dimensional surface of the drum. If we increase the tension on one side of the drum, it has the same effect as increasing the tension on the opposite side. The drum head does not know or care which side is doing the pulling. We don't have any magic ability to look at the drum and see what the tension is, but we do have the next best thing. All you have to do is strike the drum and your ears will give you a good indication of the pitch. You use a stroke called na or 10 to get the sound. You tune the tabla by striking the gajra. Remember, the gajra is the woven braid which holds the PUDI together. You strike downwards to increase the tension, or you strike from the underside to decrease the tension. There will be times the gajra simply does not respond. This is the time you adjust the position of the gata. You hammer the gata down in order to increase the tension. You hammer the gata from the underside in order to decrease the tension. When you change the position of the gata, do not expect there to be an immediate change in the pitch. In a well-made drum, it probably will not change. You then return to the gajra and continue tuning from there. This time, it will probably respond to your hammering. When you tune the tabla, it is advisable to continuously rotate the drum. This allows you to form a mental picture of what the tension is at any particular time. An untuned tabla will behave as though there is a cross on it. There will always be two opposing areas which are relatively high and two areas set at a perpendicular which are relatively low. You must not forget that as you hit the gajra with the hammer, the position of this cross will shift. This shifting process will continue until the entire drum is in tune. At this point, it will disappear entirely. Let me warn you one more time, be very careful about tuning the drum. If you're not careful about tuning, you can damage the drum. You might damage the drum by damaging the lip of the instrument. If you over-tighten the drum, you can even split the entire head.